All right, hello and welcome to the Capcast. If you're watching us on YouTube, please be sure to give us a like. I am one of your hosts, Nikki, also known as Tunnelsnakesfool, joined with my lovely co-host.
Naiwal. I am Naiwal. And we're back again. Guys, this is episode, 4 of the Capcast?
Yes, it is.
And we're hitting it in stride. That's crazy.
Episode 4. I mean, we're crushing it. We're crushing it. I am excited for this episode.
Have you, how was your past week?
Past week was a lot of COVID recovery. I took 3 days off of work, which was sad because money.
Yeah.
We got a couple sick days though, so that helps. But yeah, just recovering from COVID. I went through the worst of it after we recorded last week, so now I'm doing a lot better. How about you? How was your week?
It was pretty phenomenal. I did nothing, and that's
right,
exactly,
you had a week off.
Yeah, that's what I strive to obtain. Do a bunch of nothing. No, that's not entirely true. A lot of it was editing gameplay videos for Dead Space, and which I'm currently playing Dead Space over on my channel. Hey, and then hanging out with my daughter. So yeah, it was pretty chill, all things considered.
Good week. Mine was all in bed, so very different. Days off.
Hey, you sound great. You sound phenomenal.
So much better. I was like shaking during the last episode, but we still pumped it out.
And it wasn't because you were crying. It was a totally different thing, right?
It was like a combo last week for me. I was very sick with COVID, and then it was a very emotional episode, and there was just a lot happening.
And then now we have, which fortunately, I feel like tonight, I didn't cry tonight.
No.
I didn't have the need to. So there's a shift there. So what do you say?
Let's pop the top on this episode.
All right.
So this episode was called Please Hold to My Hand, which the title confused me a little bit. And now
was that the title?
I want to double check it now because
I was so certain it was just Please Hold My Hand. Oh no. Now I'm concerned.
Hold my hand. Oh, it's a song. That's why. See?
Is it a song?
Or hand?
I don't know.
Please hold to my hand. Unless there was a typo on Hulu.
It's also on HBO Max. I'm looking at it. So
it says please hold to my hand?
Yeah. It's not a Hank Williams song, is it?
Now I'm confused. Okay, so
oh gosh. We will address that later. We will
No. You know what's weird? Is it says on some articles it says please hold to my hand, and other articles it says please hold my hand. I think we got a typo situation right now.
I'm concerned. Okay.
That was what's on Hulu. Which is also HBO, obviously. So
yeah. Okay, yeah.
I think there was a typo. I think that's actually pretty funny, actually.
Address this now. Okay, so let's see. We open up on this episode. Ellie chilling in a restroom, and by chilling I mean pointing
a men's
a gun.
restroom. I noticed that. I don't know if you noticed that there were urinals behind her, and I was like, "Oh, men's room. Okay, random."
She's like, "I just need to piss," or point a gun at my own reflection in the mirror.
Yeah,
and it was like, listen, I'm gonna tell you this right now. As a grown adult with a ton of prop guns, I still point a gun at myself in the reflection.
I know. For some reason, in the reflection, I was like, "Don't point the gun at yourself." And I was like, "Well, it's a mirror. It's not like it's gonna bounce off the mirror." But my brain immediately went, "Well, to
You'll
that."
shoot your eye out, kid.
Yeah. I did want to say, I noticed this the fourth time now watching the opening sequence where you get the title card and all that. It's showing the mycelium growing, like traveling everywhere.
Yeah,
which I think we got a little hint at this episode later on too. So
I wasn't sure. I thought maybe I was tripping. I was like, is that different?
Yeah,
and it was. Okay,
I think it was the beginning. I feel like it's been like that, but now that I'm thinking, because we have this whole new element that's not in the game, which is the mycelium, the root, the equivalent of root structure growing, spreading across like a large area. That's kind of the idea. I was like, oh, is that it's gonna take over the whole planet? That was my thought. But
Still stuck on that theory. I still have. I think I have a note somewhere down the line about that too, because I'm still just like.
no,
But
we'll get to it in the episode. It would that beginning, that bathroom was absolutely disgusting, covered in moss. A lot of plant life this episode.
why is there so much moss?
It must just be, is it, I don't know. I don't live on the East Coast. It probably rains more than it does.
I can only assume. Yeah. It's like over here, if I find out there's a ton of moss and they pass through Panhandle, Texas, nonsense. Absolutely impossible.
No. Same for here. I mean, we have moss where it's wet and not everywhere. It's like on the walls, on everything. Cars, I was noticing it, but I don't know. Have you ever been to like the UK at all in your life?
Nope.
I did the Edinburgh Fringe Festival when I was in college, like performing improv, which was really cool. I highly recommend if anybody ever gets a chance to go to that Fringe Fest, super cool event. But moss grows everywhere in Scotland because it's raining like 24/7, and that's
what also surrounded by water too.
That too,
on all sides. So. That is pretty intense. I would imagine it's very mossy.
Yeah. Oh, they talked about the siphon. I thought that was he was siphoning
fluid
off
dynamics.
Gas.
Yes, fluid dynamics. Do you know how it works?
Oh God, this whole podcast is going to be people learning my bizarre education history. I took an irrigation class in college, and I was actually certified as an irrigation specialist. So we did a lot of siphons out in irrigation
fields. Us, because can I give you my theory on how I think it works? Okay, so I think of a Capri Sun.
Okay.
So you push air in, something has to come out, and it makes sure you have to make sure that the tube is lower than the point or whatever, and then it all pours in. I seen something on TikTok, but that's my guess.
So there's multiple, like the principle of the siphon is you have water with like headspace above it, and then tubing coming out of it and going down, and the length, once you get the liquid moving, it'll continue to work until it's reached a certain like equilibrium. So like either in that scenario, he was blowing. Some people will suck it up, but you run the risk of inhaling gasoline doing that, so he was just kind of getting the flow of water moving. But so long as the length that it has to travel is lower than the level of air, it will continue. Gravity will pull it, basically. But apparently, because some people think it's the atmospheric pressure on one side pushing down, because there's less pressure. But apparently, I looked this up while this episode was airing. A siphon will work in a vacuum, which would take that element of atmospheric pressure out of the equation. So I don't know don't quote me. I don't know if there's a full consensus on why it always works, but like
me personally,
is the concept basically.
Me personally, because I'm not a science man. If I was in an apocalyptic situation, I would probably just keep sucking and pour. It's like, oh, stop.
I mean, that's what we definitely did that in the irrigation field. When I was in this irrigation course, I went to an agricultural school. If that makes more sense on why I'm taking a irrigation class. It's disgusting, but you can also do it like he did. He was blowing into the tube, I believe. And then you can also do it where if you have another hose, like a hose attached to your house, and you push the water through, as long as you have the flow of water going, once it starts, it won't stop until there's an equilibrium. So you can actually create a siphon by pumping water into the system as well, which is kind of interesting. Yeah, like if you have flooding in your yard, there's tons of YouTube videos on how to do that. We just had that a couple days ago. So,
well, that's pretty cool. Well, shoot, yeah, and I don't know. I feel like he said something that hit a little hard for me, because he said, "Yep, the gas goes bad, so we have to keep doing, getting all this new gas." And she's like, "Well, you could go anywhere, right? Yep. And then oddly enough, we didn't go a whole lot of places. And it was like,
No.
dang, it's like that. That's freaking real, man.
It was funny because he was like, we can go a full to back in the day, like before everything went down, we could go 12 hours in the car on a tank of
Mhm.
gas. And I was like, that would not be a tank of gas. And I drive a 12-gallon car. That would be a couple tanks of gas, but I drive a
I don't
gas
know.
guzzler. So
I mean, 2003 cars just built different, you know?
my Honda Element is a 2003
Yeah.
car.
No, I had a Toyota Celica.
Mhm.
Man, I think I filled up the gas tank in that like once every 2-3 weeks. I didn't leave town. I just drove around town, you know?
I know, but I want to get Joel's pre-apocalypse car because it sounded like he had pretty good gas mileage in that car.
Honestly, living in Texas though, odds are it was a truck. Oh wait, that's exactly what it was. It was a truck.
Yeah. I'm shocked. That's good gas mileage for a truck. I got to put that out there.
For real.
But then they drive off the road. They go into a forest. All I could see was the tire marks, and I was like,
this show is sponsored by Arby's.
really? I saw a love sign. That's what I saw.
It's got to be sponsored by Arby's. Last episode.
They did talk about diarrhea this episode. So.
They did. But he said you can't have free food. This isn't an Arby's, and Arby's doesn't give free food. And then
they're a restaurant, yeah,
they're a restaurant. And then blatant Arby's sign. I was like, is Arby's conspiring in this show? Tell me right now.
To use a brand in a show, you either A, have to pay for it. That's if you're a smaller show. Or B, if you're a big budget show, they pay you for it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's exactly what it is. I mean, shoot, have you seen Arby's ad campaigns? Like just on Facebook or whatever? They'll be like, oh, here's curly fries that look like Ellie from The Last of Us. And it is really good.
Really?
It's really
there's
phenomenal.
some kind of brand. There's got to be some kind of brand.
I was like, I haven't seen it recently, but it was just an example. They do full on video game. Like I think they've done Assassin's Creed with curly fries. Like it's crazy.
Arby's is gross. I'm sorry, Arby's. They're not going. We're losing sponsors. Last episode, Sam Packs. Now Arby's.
No, don't ruin this for me. Arby's beef and cheddar.
I don't
have the meats.
I don't eat meat, so that's my issue.
Well, hold up. Are you saying what I think you're saying?
That I don't eat meat?
No. Say what you are right now.
I'm a vegetarian, yeah.
Wow. All right. That has been this episode for the Capcast. A Texan is gone. I'm out of here.
Fun little aside, I am allergic to beef and pork.
Well, god dang. It doesn't sound like you had a choice.
No. I only ate chicken for a while, and then I got sick from it. I was like,
well, you know what? You know what? I think you would do good in this apocalypse because you could just
eat the Chef Boyardee. I'll be fine.
No, I was going to say you can eat the infected. You'd have built up an immunity like Ellie.
It's a lot of mushrooms and vegetarian foods. That's true. Oh, I know people. I don't say that often publicly because gamers are opinionated on meat. I don't like. I'm not like, ew, don't eat meat around me. I ate meat for a long time. Stomach couldn't handle it. I gave up.
See, that's pretty real. Yeah. Hey, she can't eat meat. Give her a break. I'll eat it for her. There you go.
There you go.
So yeah, so they go to a remote area. They go to a remote area, forest. And here's my problem. Mycelium, dude.
Right, yeah, forest.
Yes. Okay, I'm like, dude. Okay, yeah, I get it. And Joel he goes, yes, it's remote. The infected aren't out this far. Yeah, we understand that.
Mm-hmm.
But did you not say that if you step on a thing, that they all will come coming?
Yeah, I feel like in the science of the show, like they're manufacturing a lot. This is not how it normally works. I'm guessing that they're going to say, well, the mycelium doesn't communicate with plants in any way. There's no symbiosis happening there. We're just going to ignore that.
Even though that is totally against
it's exactly how it works in the real world.
Which, I mean, so many of, we've had comments explain this and basically, confirm some of the things that we have thought. Just it's like, that is how it works. And it's just Not that it's a big deal. I just,
And it's not like it's not like the it's not like the mycelium's typing Morse code messages to the plants, it's just like, hey, there's no sunlight over here, grow more over there, and obviously it's not like they're speaking the language. But that said, I guess they're ignoring the plant.
Yeah, that's why I was sitting there. I was like, listen, it's like I don't have a big deal with it, but the moment you have a big deal with spores being an issue from the game and saying we want to go for a realistic approach, I'm gonna hold you to it. Keep that consistency across the board. Keep that same energy across the board.
So we're going to keep coming back to spores a lot in this podcast. As I take it, do spores not exist at all in mushrooms? That's just not how they reproduce. Is that the world they've invented? That's what I've been wondering the last few times. Because you could, I don't know. I don't understand how they're whatever. We're gonna ignore all science. And then
just manja, eat what they give you and move on. Sure. Don't ask questions. Don't start questioning. Like
my nana telling me to manja. But I will say, okay, back on meat topic. I am Italian American, right? And when I go to my nana's house, she'll be like, I made gravy. They call it gravy because they're out East Coast and Chicago. She'll be like, I made gravy special for you, no meat. I took the beef bone out of the gravy before serving it to you. So I will eat that where there was a beef bone in there at some point.
But
that's the Italian American version of vegetarian, is they just pull the meat product out so you don't see it. It was in there, but so they're no tent camping, which rough.
Listen, he's from Austin, Texas. Sounds realistic for a Texan. I'm not gonna lie. Really? Cowboy camping. Yep. I think that's what they call it, is cowboy camping.
Camping.
Yeah, you just throw a sleeping bag on the ground.
Cold though.
Very. I'm sure it is.
No tent camping and puns. The puns this episode. The pun game was strong. I'm sure dad jokes appreciated it quite a bit.
Absolutely they did. Joel is the king of dad jokes. He caught that scarecrow joke a mile away.
It was funny too. She was like, how do you know this, when a lot of the puns are like, old
dad jokes, dude.
I wrote down that Joel felt more dad energy this episode, especially in this scene where he chose not to sleep.
I put the same thing. I said, homie did not sleep at all.
And then drove. Good for him.
With potentially mycelium infected coffee, but neither here nor there. But yeah, they make their way to Kansas City?
Yep, Kansas City. They're talking about all the highways and freeways that they're taking. I don't know them as a West Coaster at all, but I'm sure East Coast people were like, "Well, that's near me."
Oh yeah, there was a nudie mag.
Yes, I wrote that down.
Kept it true to the game right there.
Yeah, boyo. I want to going forward in the podcast. I want to come up with like our favorite quote of the episode. And my submission was, "Why are all the pages stuck together?" And Joel's utter shocked and disturbed reaction to that. But then she was like, nah, I'm just messing with you. She knew what she was doing, which I thought was hilarious.
So my quote will have to come a little later. Okay. Not too far later, because I was like, this was absolutely savage of this person. I just like it. A runner-up quote is, how do you walk around with that thing?
Yes, that was a good one too.
There we go.
He was so flustered with having a daughter at this point. That's the point they're getting to in this episode. Talking about sexuality. Even though we called her cargo, you know. But let's be real, it's getting more father-daughter energy, you know. But I thought that was really funny to show the dad's flustered reaction to her sexuality in that moment. Pretty real.
He totally stopped thinking he had to go through this whenever he lost Sarah, and then it's like, oh god, never mind. How do I bring this training back?
Right? It was it was pretty good. I thought that was a good little touch. I think that they're bringing a lot of that kind of like real relationship stuff, and I know that that was in the game too, which was another thing that people brought up when they were like in the last episode, which got negative review bombed. I don't know if you read about that.
I didn't know about that. Dang.
A lot of people were complaining, obviously for entirely homophobic reasons, about the story of that episode. And people were like, yeah, but where else did she get that magazine from? In the game. Like that happened in the game as well.
Yeah.
So, you know.
It's like, come on. Come on now.
So okay.
So they drive, they make it to Kansas City. The main road that they were using to get through was basically
completely blocked.
Like I think there was warning signs that it was done on purpose.
It felt that way, right? And
because
it was
that tunnel was empty,
clear on the other side. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was forcing them to take the detour through town or the city.
Mm-hmm.
Blocked by a Sarah Lee truck. I don't know if you saw that branding on it.
I did not
thought that was kind of funny.
That is kind of funny. Okay. So they
Paper
go through.
map in it.
Yeah. Ugh.
Do you remember?
Can you read a paper map?
Can I read a paper map? Yes, I can. I'm also getting my master's in geography, though. So, you know.
Well, that does, you know what? Well, if you weren't doing that, do you think you could? I can because of video games. And my reasoning is totally unrelated.
No, but I wrote down like paper maps, lol. That's totally what it was like for before navigation or map. Like, do you remember ever having to navigate, not necessarily yourself, but like maybe with parents or grandparents or whoever with a paper map?
You know, honestly,
or was TomTom existing by then?
I can't even think of it because by 2003 I was 8, somewhere around there, and I wasn't traveling a lot at that time. True. It was just like, go to this small town, go visit your grandparents in this small town that's an hour away. It was very back and forth. You know, the road was straight. There weren't any turns that we needed to do. And, you know, by the time I was 9, Sirius XM came out, and so did navigation. So
TomTom and all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
2003, I was 10. I was born in 93. I remember having to get those paper maps when like walking somewhere, the ones where they'd be really hard to refold back up, huge
impossible
things.
Yep.
And then I remember my parents having to print out MapQuest turn by turn. Do you remember where it'd be like, at this street turn left, at that, and it would be a piece of paper
and then you move on, and then you move on.
So but that took me back to that time, pre-navigation software and GPS existed, but not so ubiquitous.
Man.
Remember it?
I do remember MapQuest, however. I don't know why I remember MapQuest. I think it's a lonely island. That's why I remember MapQuest.
Oh, interesting.
It said, I prefer Google Maps. Yahoo Maps is the best. I prefer MapQuest. True that, something like that. I don't know. It was weird. It was actual lyrics. I was like, MapQuest, and then I had to look it up, and I was like, God, what a concept.
It's very antiquated. So MapQuest would basically do what Google does, except you wouldn't, if you missed your turn, you'd kind of be SOL.
It's like, okay, we got to go back. We have to go back.
But I remember that, like, that panicked energy in that scene of them like fighting over not knowing where to go or how to find north on a map or whatever. Like, I was like, oh yeah, it's so real. Like, I remember it being like that back before we have the the maps in our pockets. So I thought that was a nice little, I don't know. There's some nostalgia for the early 2000s and for like a different time before technology that's like being evoked in this show. And if you're old like me, you actually have some of these memories, you know. So
you're not old.
I'm gonna be 30 in May.
That's real, kid. It's coming. But they get lost their town, and then we have a guy. Help me. Help me. My stomach.
Yeah, his tum-tum was hurting. My husband was saying this was pretty frame for frame from the game.
Yeah, it was pretty dead on. There was definitely a lot more depth added to this, though, which I like. Yeah. Joel's like, screw this, is a trap dog.
Hmm.
Woo! Hits him. Keeps going.
And they
And
immediately start shooting.
yeah, immediately starts shooting, throwing a cinder block down at the window. Like, golly. Um, Crash into a building, laundromat.
Laundromat. Hmm.
You can see the old Doritos.
I wrote down old logos as well.
Yeah.
That old '03 Doritos logo
Yeah.
took me back.
And
Um,
yeah, they're getting attacked. Joel,
Very
right?
tactical.
Very. He's well. Shoot, man! Like that worry on his face for Ellie was pretty real. He's like
Hmm.
getting that whole
He
"I
told her to
got
stay
you."
low, and she army crawled, and I was like, impressive. Like,
Yeah.
she really did. I mean, clearly the Fedra school has taught her some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she got through that little hole in the wall. Just an absolutely brutal scene. That follows of defending her. Obviously, he gets ambushed slightly again. Didn't realize there was a third guy, and Ellie has to save him from being choked out basically by the
That
phone.
gun that she snatched up from the last episode
Yeah,
and
and
shot him in the back.
in the
Man.
spine. Yeah, it sounded like he was paralyzed from the waist down. That was brutal. That
And
was
this
really hard
right
to
here,
watch.
this right here is where I want to say I freaking called it. Neil Druckmann really wanted to emphasize on the brutality of man and how
Yep.
that can affect someone growing up and witnessing the violence that
Right.
Ellie will be like prone to. Because I said it went into humanizing what would typically just be regular bad guys in the game. You
Yeah,
would kill them,
that's what I wrote
move
down
on.
too.
And really focusing on how violence affected Ellie, which definitely will impact her, like it did in The Last of Us 2, which is the
Mhm.
sequel game, and which I'm sure they will be covering at some point
Yeah.
with the show.
Hopefully we get a couple seasons before then, because I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
this dynamic
It's like
right now.
I am enjoying it too. And then I mean, heck, maybe we even get some in between season, like
Ooh, I
in
didn't even think
between.
of that.
Mm-hmm.
That would be cool.
Just the growth,
Yeah. I
Um,
wrote down incredibly hard to watch. When you're playing a video game, it's so much easier to separate the humanity of the people that you have to get rid of from what they are. But when you're watching actors, there's no gap.
mhm.
Even I think a lot of people do feel for video games, even though characters don't look necessarily exactly human in video games. But
I'll think about the other side of the coin where it's me and Grand Theft Auto purposely getting on the sidewalk.
No, yeah, there's that. There's obviously that, but I think it was so hard. It's so hard to just deny the humanity in them. And he's crying for his mom,
Mhm.
which, oh my God. And,
It's tragic, man. And
it was
he was
brutal.
he was like, "Listen, we can trade, like whatever. We are sorry, dude." Like blah blah blah, popping off, like just begging. And this is where I was kind of like, this is where, like, I guess newer or more recent Neil Druckmann is now. He's rewriting that vision that he had for
Mhm.
The Last of Us, the original game, because yeah, I mean, pretty early on in The Last of Us 2, like you get this like humanized, like these NPCs, like as you kill them, you'll hear someone go, "Barry, no!" just screaming as you're killing someone. It's like, God dang, what is the crap?
I mean, it was, God, yeah, it was just absolutely brutal and evoked a lot, I mean, a lot of what's happening in America right now. Police
Yeah.
brutality and all and that kind of stuff, and seeing those videos, I mean, that's where my mind
It's like
immediately went. And I was just like,
people
wow.
are, yeah, man, those videos are freaking hard to watch. Ugh. It's like, happy Black History Month, but it's like, it's just a thing. Like, I remember my dad called me and he was like, "Have you seen that video of,
Yeah.
why am I drawing a blank?
The
Lloyd.
most recent one.
No, not the most recent one. Man, which is sad to say.
Yeah, George Floyd.
George Floyd. Yeah, there we go. George Floyd. When he sent that, and I was like, God dang, it was just a full thing on video. And even beyond that, just, I mean, some of the school shootings that went down
Mhm.
have gone down. It's just, this is a tragic thing that just is
And
happening.
I
And
can't help but think that, I mean, this is a, I think a lot of people want to separate the media they watch and the video games they play from, like, I don't consider this politics. I think this is just a
yeah,
reality of
yeah.
being in America. Like this is social commentary at it.
Mhm.
I know it's a show about a video game, but like I couldn't hear him crying for his mom in that and not think back to the countless tapes where people have been
Mm.
murdered on tape and are crying for their parents. It's
It's real,
awful.
man. It is very real, and I think Joel's reaction to the situation of exactly what happened. This was another thing where it's like we even give a little bit more humanity to Joel in this instance because
Hmm.
I don't know if he had the same conversation of just like of how bad he felt
But
that
yeah.
Ellie had to go through that. I was like, I'm sure they touched on it a little bit. I don't think like I feel like Pedro Pascal did a real good job in
Yes.
terms of line delivery on it. And he's like,
Just how I mean, it clearly is not something he wants either. And feeling for himself, but then also feeling for her having to go through that was phenomenal acting on the part of everybody in this episode, as it seems
and
like always.
yeah,
So,
and you get this um like Ellie clarifies, she's like, this is not the first time that I've
mhm.
had to do something like this. And Joel's like, dang. And he's like, all right, well, shoot. I'm gonna need your help if we're gonna get through this situation
Right.
we're in. Do you know how to hold a gun? Put your finger like this. Fedra taught you that? Of course they did. Okay. So
Yeah. I
he's
thought that
teaching.
was such a I mean, obviously after an incredibly heavy scene, that was such a cute moment where he's shaking the gun in her
Oh,
hand.
and speaking from a dad perspective,
Mhm.
whenever my kid is scared, my first instinct is distractor,
Yeah.
entertainer,
Yeah.
entertainer for a little bit. If I appear to be calm, she's gonna understand. Okay, if he's calm, I'm putting my faith in him
Right.
to stay calm. You
Mhm.
know, so it's like, yeah, it's that's, I mean, it's good dad language, man. It's like I
Yeah.
pick up on that stuff pretty quick right there.
I think it's interesting too for both of us to be like watching you as a dad and me as a daughter, like watching. There's so much I feel like I'm getting a lot of like connection to the show in these like little moments of like what it feels like to be on either for both of us, obviously either side of that
Mhm.
coin, because it's
Yeah,
yeah, God, they're doing such a good job with it too.
they
So
are.
it's really special, and I mean, I got to commend these actors, fantastically done. And then we jump to, and I wrote down other people, question mark, question mark, question mark,
Kathleen
interrogation.
Kennedy.
It was so random.
So okay,
Can
now
you
this is
contextualize that for me for the with the game?
no, I really can't
Really?
because
Okay.
this is its own freaking thing.
Okay.
This is its own thing.
But the ambush does happen in the game, as I
The ambush
understand it,
happens, yeah,
and they
and
have
it's
to
like
get out.
I was like, now I could be wrong. Don't quote me, y'all. It's been years since I played the game, but I do not remember this. I'll have to. You know what? This week I'll play through the game again, and then I'll be more updated.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure that is not the case. Because yeah, this Kathleen lady.
Hmm.
Where's my brother? You sold my brother out to Fedra. And he's
Hmm.
like, dude, I'm a doctor. I was just trying to live. Fedra held a gun in my head. And this is where my quote came back. And I
All
was
right.
like, when she held that gun and she says, have I met all the conditions? And it's like, God dang. I was like, yo, that's low key kind of savage, doc. I was like, okay, cool. Which I noticed her. I was like, hey, isn't that the ditzy girl from Two and a Half Men?
Is it? I've never watched that show.
I'm
I don't
pretty.
know.
I listen. I only watched that show because it was the only thing that was on the TV whenever
On
my mom,
TBS.
when my mom was cooking dinner and my stepdad would not change the channel from TBS, and I didn't, and I wasn't allowed to play Xbox on the weekdays. So
Is that how you sounded in that era?
yes, it's like which side note, guys, I would sneak into my mom's room whenever it was late at night, and I'd get my Xbox and I'd take it out and I'd sneak it back into my room and then play till like 4 a.m. And then I'd wake up and sneak it back in.
Your
And
mom
then,
held the Xbox.
mm-hmm,
Oh,
it was bad.
that's hard. Oh God, this is gonna make me sound a billion years old. And it's not that I'm old. It's just that when I was young, my parents didn't have like a lot of new things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but we would play on the old TV where you pull the knob out. You remember, like, have you ever seen one of
Oh
those
yeah.
ones from the
Okay. Yeah,
70s?
dude.
This was the 90s. I'm not that old, but my parents had an old TV.
They had an old one.
Yeah. It was old then, but I played on the Sega Genesis, and if you switch from cable to Sega, the Sega's volume is so much louder than whatever your cable box was. So the second it would turn on, it would be like Sega, and I got in trouble many times in the middle of the night for that blaring.
All right, which one of these is responsible for the audio? Which one is it? It's like, how do you cut that one out?
You got to turn the little knob to turn the volume down. So
Golly. Yeah.
I'm not that old. Okay.
But all that to say, yeah, no, I recognize her from 2.5 Men.
Okay. I have never seen her. My husband mentioned, I was like, oh, and I don't know. I was like, it's such a soft-spoken woman to be leading a community. Like she has had to have done some stuff to be trusted and respected by these like hard-looking dudes, you know? So I thought that was interesting. And my husband actually was like, she reminds me of the drug boss in Euphoria. If you Euphoria. I was like,
That's
totally.
funny. It's like, oh my God, dude. Yeah. So yeah, she's interviewing this guy, and then someone pulls her aside and says, hey, so and so and so and so are back and they've been hurt. You need to come check it out. And guess what? It's was it the consequences of our actions, Joel? Another freaking okay, so this is where they're reinforcing this idea of violence is a vicious circle. They are starting it off early. It was never focused in the original game. It was just very, just, what would we do to protect the ones we love?
Right.
But here we go. It's like violence is a vicious circle. They don't understand. Sorry, my computer just made a noise. They don't understand what the full situation is. They immediately assume it was this guy Henry hiring mercenaries.
A whole war.
They said that truck was loaded. It was to the brim.
2 mercs. It's a 56-year-old and a 15-year-old.
It's like, yeah, good job, guys. And then that girl's like, can they be saved? Do they? Oh yeah, because that guy said, I'm a doctor. That's why you shouldn't shoot me.
Her doctor, and I was like, is she pregnant? Like, I wondered, because he made a point of saying, I'm your doctor. Like, you need me alive.
Which I don't know if it was because he was like, I'm the one who brought you into this world. I was there when you were born. And like, I don't know. She's
like, I don't need to be born again. Like, we're good, you know?
Yeah. So, and then like this guy is like, oh, no, he's dead. A doctor won't save him. And then, okay. So this is also where I want to say she goes back there and off-screen deaths. We are getting off-screen executions. And that's where I'm starting to kind of go, what are we shy from? Mm-hmm. What are we not comfortable with showing? Yeah, because I was
HBO, like, where Pedro Pascal got
his head crushed.
Yeah, so
I was like, listen, if you're really trying to show, like, maybe it's just me, maybe you feel differently, but if you're really trying to invoke that like violence is a horrible thing, man, you got to show it. Show it.
I mean, not to be like,
not all the time, not to be like this gritty guy, but like not to be edgy, so to speak. It's just like, I mean,
I feel like we saw in the last episode a infected getting shot in the head, and it was through a security. It wasn't even that.
It wasn't even that intense. We've seen them get stabbed in the head. We've seen them slowly get cut open. But like,
yeah, and the kid in that one episode, maybe it was the first one or the second one,
off-screen death.
Off-screen again, yeah.
And which I'm like, I'm okay with that. Which, I mean, if they had honestly just been like, did they do a gunshot noise
for
that girl when she died? I was like, maybe if they did that, I'm okay with. Which I'm like, listen, killing the kid is one thing, but I'm just like, I'm like, man, okay, Dead Meat. I don't know if you watch Dead Meat on YouTube.
Mm-mm.
Phenomenal YouTuber. They go over kill count as their thing. They watch
Okay.
horror movies and they say, let's get to the kills. They count every kill that happens in the horror movie. And they also show the best kill and then the worst kill. The worst kills usually are always the off screen deaths. If these are supposed to be pivotal moments, such as this guy getting executed in it, that Ellie essentially helped get pushed to that point.
We did see the one where Joel was beating the guy to death.
Oh yeah,
That was
which
shown, but mostly of like a shot of
of the up
Ellie.
angle. Yeah, yeah, it was
Yeah,
very
which was interesting. And yeah, I wonder, it seems like the way that these are being shot is a lot from Ellie's perspective of obviously these other scene is different, separate, but
yeah.
like even when she paralyzes the guy before he looked like he had a cut on his chest and that's how he
Yeah.
was taken out.
And that's the thing, like you don't even see the shot.
No, you see her reaction.
Yeah, you don't, like whenever she shoots, you don't see if it landed in his spine, so you have to assume that it did. And
Right.
it's like I don't know if they're skirting away from it because maybe they have an audience in China that they're trying to also get this stuff to. And it's just like I
Don't they just get another edit out there anyhow?
That's what I thought, but maybe, I mean, cutting down on production costs, like that's one thing that you would have to still pay
I
for.
wonder if the first extreme violent on-screen death that we are going to get in this show is going to be her killing someone, like, and that will be her first kill we see in this,
Man,
you know what I mean? I wonder if that's what they're building towards, because a lot of it has been from her perspective. And even in the after the little, you know, the little things they do after the show, they're talking about how much she enjoyed watching him attack that one guy. And
because what the rating on the show is, what, MA? Yeah, it's MA, TV
it's
MA. So
it's HBO, you know.
yeah. So that's why I'm sitting here. I'm just like, I don't know. It's like I get it. Like,
I wonder what they're holding back for.
It's like, apart from the cussing, the action scenes have been handled very much like, I hate to say it, but a CW action shot,
or even like a Breaking Bad kind of energy,
or
where you're not, yeah,
no,
like,
I mean, but even in Breaking Bad, they dissolved a human body upstairs and it all poured out all over them. So it's like,
true.
you know, it's one of those. Oh, Gustavo Fring with the box cutter slit that guy's throat right in front of Walter White.
Well, I'm also thinking back on, like, if you have watched HBO over the last 20 years, you have seen a lot. I mean, go watch Sopranos. You know, they're chopping dudes up in that show.
Westworld, man. My God, Westworld. I did not say that. It was intense. Man, I mean,
Game of Thrones.
Yeah, it was bad. And then House of the Dragon.
Oh, that show's really. We should do an after show of that. That show's really good.
I'd be down.
It's not coming out for 2 years, so we got some time.
Catch up on the boys. We can do an after show of that.
Yeah, I am wondering if they are waiting, now that you mention it, because they really haven't shown anything besides super pivotal. I can't think of the word pivotal. Yeah,
pivotal there it is. You found it.
But yeah, I wonder if they're kind of, and maybe, I don't know, maybe people are like, oh God, I don't want to watch a Game of Thrones. I don't want to watch something so egregiously violent where it's off-putting after a certain point. Maybe there has been complaints to HBO. I feel like
all I know is ultimately, if you are going to try to sell the story of violence, you got to at least have violence in your show.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have it.
I mean, I think that's fair. I'm glad they didn't show how that kid ended, because that was brutal to watch.
It was pretty intense, but
yeah.
I was like, I think that's just the reality of it.
What's sad is probably kind of where we've gotten to as a media consumers. I found it more difficult to hear him begging for his mom than I would have just watching him getting killed outright. Like, that was that human element was worse than actual violence for me.
Yeah.
Seeing the violence. So I don't know. I will. Circling back, we did see them looking through a building for the two people that are missing. And the ground collapsing. Do you have theories, thoughts on that? My husband thought it was the ones that explode.
Yeah, I think it's a big bully, big bully. I can't remember what it's called. I want to say it's a bloater, but I think that's Left for Dead.
Dead Island has those too, but I don't feel like you're wrong.
But yeah, I feel like it's the big infected that is just bricked up. And I mean, because I was like, look at the crater of that cracked ground, man.
They're bloaters. You're right.
Yeah.
That's what they're called. I'm looking at the wiki. Oh, nasty. And that is gross. I did not what I saw. It was naked and everything. On the wiki. But
share that with the audience.
I'm gonna get in trouble on YouTube. But yeah, so I think I was wondering, is it one that was like under? I couldn't tell if that was the floor or like a
like something was moving under it.
Yes, it was
like something. I was thinking that maybe it was like something something big made that impact and maybe was laying down, and I felt like something further away maybe caused the shift,
the ripple.
I was like maybe, but
they shut that door so quick. They were like, they were out of there.
Should we tell anyone else? Nah, let's just focus on what we got to deal with now. We'll just block this building off, okay?
Or my ideas were it's that because we haven't seen that enemy yet, and that's one of the biggest, most difficult enemies from the game.
That was supposed to show up in the Bill and Frank episode,
right?
Or at least Bill's episode. Yeah.
Or are we going back to something mycelium? You know what I mean? Like I
even consider that because it was underneath. My God, what if it's almost like a megazoid of infected that have grouped up to make one body?
Oh God, yeah. Gross, and I hope not.
I hope not either. It's like, where are the Power Rangers?
I wondered if it was mycelium on some level because it was underground. It was hard to tell.
Yeah, I was like, that makes sense, actually. That's why I was sitting there. I was like, oh my God, you might be correct on that.
Yeah. But we know the preview for the next episode definitely showed a bloater. I'm pretty sure, unless it was a clicker, it looked.
I actually didn't. I didn't watch that. I totally forgot to. I totally forgot.
Gotta get on that. No, but I think I do think. I'm hoping, actually. I don't think. I'm hoping it's a bloater because I think that would be more interesting than more mycelium, like new info.
I mean, I'm hoping it is, man.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Then we have 41 flights of stairs. How do you feel about? They only ended up going up 33. How do you feel about?
I probably could have only made it up 33 too.
Really? I was like that. He's really overly tired for that amount of stairs.
I also think about the fact that this man did not sleep the night before.
That's true.
I was like, he didn't sleep the night before. Probably, and that's exactly why he crashed out as hard as he did.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
that's what. Okay, when I'm at the gym, I go on the stair stepper. That's my thing. I'll be like, I climbed 4 Eiffel Towers worth of stairs. You know, like I don't know. I was like, 4. That's not that many flights. I'm not like trying to be annoying about it, but I was like, that's not that bad.
No, that would have took me out. I have a bad shoulder, 56. But somehow I feel like I was like, I have a bad shoulder, but I feel like climbing those stairs would have kicked up the pain for some reason. I'm like, I don't know why, but my arm hurting.
Yeah. At 33, and then they go to sleep. They have a diarrhea joke. Super.
Oh yeah, what Joel sets down the glass. And they kind of clarify that he's deaf in one ear, dude.
Yeah, it sounds
he can nigh hear. He's like, it came from a whole bunch of shooting, and that's why I was like, don't do that with yours. And
earplugs. And we wake up on a cliffhanger.
Yeah, Henry.
But it seems like
himself known.
If you spoiled it like I did and you watched the preview for the next episode, it's clear that they are not going to hurt anyone or or threaten them in any way, and they're going to join forces.
I will say this though.
Sorry.
Prepare yourself for another sad episode. I was like, Henry's here. All right, here we go.
Great. Yay.
Brace yourself for it.
I love this show, but I am finding each episode difficult to watch in another way. And I wonder if we're getting to a point with the show where certain people might be turning it off for that reason, because it's a hard watch. And I think how much they're humanizing characters has been.
So okay, let's put the cap on this.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into some of those thoughts that you're actually having, and then we'll go into our review of
Okay.
this episode. So you were saying you were finding it a little harder to, each episode's getting like harder to watch. What are you finding hard about it at this point?
I think it's I think they're making me care too much about characters that in the game maybe you wouldn't have necessarily cared about. And I understand that they need to do that for the show to make it compelling. But part of me also kind of just wants this like buddy traveling through the US, like there's a lot of humor in the game. I haven't played it personally, obviously, but I've watched my husband play it. And the game has a lot more humor than I feel like we've seen thus far. We've gotten little bits of it, and I want more. I want another. I kind of want another lighthearted episode. I know that some people even called the last episode a filler episode, whatever. But oh, my heart can't take it. It's sad.
It's I kind of agree with you. Not so much on the sense of here's some people for you to care about that are totally inconsequential to the story,
Right.
which I mean ultimately they really kind of are. Like I was just to think about these, these side characters, this Kathleen character. In my opinion, they're building up a villain that is not the focus of the story.
No,
ultimately,
it feels like an anthology at this point right now, where we're kind of telling
Yeah.
little stories here and there of other people.
I was like, and I know the, the goal is to, this is a show. This has to span out an entire season, and
Right.
you very well could tell the entire story of The Last of Us within, 10 hours, so 10 episodes. And I know what they're doing with these extra characters. It's kind of padding it out. It's in my opinion, because I was like, I don't care about Kathleen. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I was like, something bad happened to her brother. Listen, fine, I get it. I was like, now there is an ongoing threat with the characters that we're following, and we also got Henry and Sam who've just shown up, which which now those characters you want to feel for them in the game, because they give you a focus that at first you think they're a problem. They're not really a problem, like as you said, spoiler alert, but they're not really a problem. And now I feel like this. I was like, where does this extra character come to fit in? This extra storyline of these people who rose up against Fedra. Like, I mean, that's what it sounds like. It sounded like a united people who stood up against Fedra and then took their stuff, and then now they're feeling like they're being attacked for something.
And now it's kind of doing a power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely. That's kind of vibe I'm getting, where we're gonna go, oh, Fedra's a problem, but so are anything that takes the place. Yeah, I don't know. I loved Bill and Frank's story so much, but now I'm like,
because I was like,
I want more Joel and Ellie, I guess.
Yeah,
is what I'm asking
like,
for.
The Bill and Frank story didn't take away from Joel and Ellie.
Mm-mm.
Now, because I was like, we were looking at flashbacks. It wasn't actively going on in the story, but now we're getting this B plot to it, which I was like, I feel like we don't need a B plot right now.
No,
it was
I'm
like,
with you.
I was like, let's focus on getting them a little further, because there are some very intense figures that they meet much later on in the game. Talking from game perspective, which, like I said, I hate doing that. But going off the source material, that those characters, they are a very interesting beat pot.
The upcoming characters.
The upcoming ones are very, very intense. And I was like, that is a fantastic beat plot to follow. It's like, that's good. That's a nice diversion, which is exactly what we got in the game.
Do you think they're kind of... Now, I just want to be clear, I'm not including episode 3 at all. I
Mhm.
loved episode 3. I thought it was really good. I thought it was I don't have any complaints about that episode. I loved it. Now I'm like, okay, I want more of the main characters of the game. Do you think that the showrunners are feeling like Joel and Ellie's story is not enough? Like, because
I
I don't think they've
I don't
developed it
know.
enough to move
I
away
don't.
from it so much.
I don't know if I could say that they don't think it's enough. I think it's that they want to build on it by
Right.
or build on the world that they live in more.
Yeah.
Which I was like, I was like, I get it. It's like, let's build into the world. That's why they put so much thought into the mycelium, how it got around.
Right. Right.
And they're also like at Fedra and these factions that are going on. They're focusing on that.
Right.
And I think what works so well with The Last of Us is because it didn't matter who they were fighting. Your
Mhm.
goal is to survive.
Right.
That's it. It's like it don't rain or sunshine. Me and Ellie, Joel and Ellie making it out. Or whenever you're playing the game, you played as Joel. So it was like me and Ellie, we're getting out of here.
Right.
That was it. And it was, I don't know. I think what's going to end up happening with the next episode, we are going to see flashbacks of how Henry and Sam got into the situation that they're currently in.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's going to either end on another cliffhanger with Henry and Sam, or they're going to barrel down this story with Henry and Sam way too fast for it to actually have any, because like I said, the potential to cry is there because there's a very emotional scene that happens.
Mm-hmm.
And they want you to connect to those characters first. So what are they going to do? They're going to show you the story of how they did it. And I know
I have mixed feelings, I guess, about that.
I know, that's why I'm just like,
I don't know. I'm excited to get these other stories. However, I'm at the point where with this show where I don't feel like they've given enough backstory on, honestly, mostly Ellie. I think Joel's gotten a decent amount of backstory. I want more about her because I don't feel like as showrunners, yes, they have the game, people who play the game and have a different connection. I don't feel, as someone who hasn't played the game, connected enough to those characters yet.
Right now, she just seems like
side runs.
She's this kid, you know, and the only way they can explore that is if they stay focused.
Exactly.
And it's one of those things because Ellie said she's like, I don't feel like talking about that first situation of when she hurts someone because it was like it is a very integral character moment.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm pretty sure it's the DLC that you only get to experience in the game in the game. So it's just like, we're not going to get to that point until we explore a little bit more with Ellie and Joel. And I just like, I know if you keep trying to broadening these like the full scope of this story, it's like we get it. It's post-apocalyptic.
There's thousands of stories they could tell.
I was like, times are hard, but we're here for Ellie and Joel's story. And
they're good actors. I feel like they can lean on them a little. I'm sure we'll get more into them soon, but I feel like they could. It's like a criminal underuse of these actors at this point because they're both fantastic actors. So
I feel like, and I know if how they handle the thing with Henry and Sam coming up. No spoilers, but if it ends with anything being off screen, that's where I'm going to be like, okay, they are really botching stuff up right now. So, and I'm saying that right now. Ultimately, what would you rate this episode?
I think, oh God, I'm bad at giving grades. I'm always too friendly.
Oh, be real with it. How to make you feel?
I hate cliffhangers. They piss me off. I don't like them as a concept. I'm going to keep watching the show. Okay. We all know it. You don't need to cliffhang me. It's also based off source material that is easy to look up. Whatever. I'm going to give it a 6.5 just because that cliffhanger made me mad at the end. And it felt, I don't know, the runtime felt shorter. I don't have it.
It was 45 minutes.
Yeah, it was shorter. I was like, you didn't need to cliffhang me at 45 minutes. You could have given me 10 more minutes. Come on. How about you?
Pretty real. I think mine's probably out of 7. Because I was like, while I did like there was more focus on Joel and Ellie, we did get a little bit more character development between them. Joel is starting to open up way more.
Mhm.
It was all stuff that I appreciated. Them throwing this trying to make a B plot with Kathleen and this in this group with Henry and Sam, which once again, I don't know, could be in the original game, could not. Regardless, it's in the show,
Right.
and I don't care about these characters. I don't care about them. I'm invested with Ellie and Joel and the people who are directly affecting Ellie and Joel at this point,
Yep.
which is Henry and Sam. And
Right.
I feel like we could have gotten more with that if they had just stuck to it. But yeah, I was like, ultimately, still watching the show. Still
I mean,
think
we're not gonna
it's.
stop.
I was like, still think it's fine. I'm just curious to see how they handle this next episode,
Okay.
and if any of that stuff that I said, I'm trying to predict it. But if any of that happens, then I'm gonna be like, okay, we're starting to tank a little bit. So
Eh, yeah, I don't know. They got some star power with the people they got. I use it, you know?
it's just like use it effectively.
Right.
Don't 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 stress on trying to expand something that was already really good to begin with. Build on it. Build on it. But don't get lost in the sauce. Don't turn it into something different. Like, geez Louise. Ugh.
Yeah, I think the title of the show has taken on a little bit of a new meaning for me on some level. It's
Please
really,
hold to my hand. I'm kidding.
not that. No, just the show and game, The Last of Us. It's really it's starting to feel like the stories of The Last of Us, whatever,
Mhm.
of more than just us as in two people traveling together, you know. So
Yeah.
but not to say I don't enjoy, but Kathleen is the character's name, right?
hmm
That just felt so random.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was pretty out of nowhere. Which, also, side note, I didn't mean to bring this up. Why don't people move to these apparently dead zones for the infected? Why wouldn't Fedra just be like, listen, let's pack up and just go this way? How about we push Bikini Bottom somewhere else?
Exactly. Yeah, no, and I will say what I do appreciate about the show, it doesn't feel like a zombie show, which I feel like is done and done. Walking Dead just ended last year. I'm over it. You know, like I stopped watching them years ago. But yeah, so that constant like, oh, they're gonna everywhere you look, there's gonna be one, isn't there. And I do appreciate that. But again, I'm also like, it seems like a lot of the US is good. How has society not come back more from this?
This is very much like the Fallout question.
Mm-hmm.
This is very much like the Fallout question. Is like at some point people would have started building normal houses again,
Mm-hmm.
and
Had plumbing.
I mean, for crying out loud, Bill and Frank kept that town relatively beautiful and safe.
Uh-huh.
And like, you mean two people, you mean to tell me that a band of decent human beings couldn't unite and do the same thing?
The population must just be so low in this universe that it's just not able to happen.
And then Joel also provided a deadline for how long an infected lives typically.
Yeah.
Before they
weeks, they're gone. Right?
Yeah.
He said they could live for 20 years, right? But
yeah. And then those ones, that's whenever you start getting like clearing units of people to slowly reclaim the world again, you know?
Yeah,
and then
it's not The Walking Dead where there's a giant horde of them and there's a constant fear. You know?
because they migrate, and then you have people who learn how to whisper the zombies into certain directions, you know? Like,
yeah, that element is not in this show, and I love that because The Walking Dead, I was like, oh my god, I'm so friggin' bored of zombies at this point. You know what I mean? So yeah, I have a curiosity on that. There's got to be worse areas that we just have yet to see.
I mean, absolutely.
I know there is
awful.
in the game, so but
I'm telling you, like, I feel like the areas where these mushrooms things would not thrive in would be the goddamn desert, man. We're talking Mojave, we're talking Chihuahua, like
yeah, no, Texas, California, Arizona, New Mexico. I feel like let's hang out there, you know, like some desert.
It's like you lack humidity in these deserts, dude. Mm-hmm. Mushrooms cannot thrive there. There's no freaking way. But
exactly.
Whatever. I'm
I
just
mean,
the
most
guy.
of the West, Southwest, West, even, I mean, I think people don't realize California is mostly desert.
Yeah.
You know, we'd be,
Except for that northern part
yeah,
of
well,
it.
that's way up there. But
Yeah.
like a good chunk of these areas is so dry. That's where I'd
Which is
want to
why
be.
everything was on fire. Which
There would be a lot of fires.
how many fires are we expecting this year, California? Hmm?
We're doing better. We're
Leave it
doing
down in
better.
the comments below.
I hope not. Don't you put that evil on
Hey,
me.
yeah, no,
Um,
absolutely. No, I don't wish it for you at all. Hey,
uh,
but with any luck, if mushrooms do appear, you
burn
know,
baby burn.
well, I was gonna say you could just eat them.
Are
All
they
right,
truffles?
guys.
I'll take a truffle. If
A
these
truffle?
cordyceps are gonna grow tasty as a truffle, I'll eat that up.
Can you train a pig to hunt cordyceps? If you can train a pig to hunt a truffle.
I bet. I bet. And dogs too.
Well, everyone who's listening and watching, it sounds like we should all start buying pigs and preparing.
Mm-hmm. And
Oink.
if not, truffles are expensive. So you
Yeah,
got yourself a good
exactly.
one or the
Oink,
other.
oink means safe. Oink oink means not safe. And that has been the Capcast, everyone. Once again, I am Naiwal.
And I am Tunnelsnakesfool.
And remember, don't feed the Yagwai.
That
Is
is
all.
all. Thank you so much for watching the Capcast. Be sure to subscribe here on YouTube. Make sure you don't miss anything.
And for more Nikki and Naiwal, make sure to follow them on their primary YouTube channels. Their links will be in the description below.